Have you ever sorted anything by price, high to low? And if so, what was it? I'm in the early stages of house hunting. I'll set my upper price limit, then sort high to low. Otherwise, the first 3 pages of results are full of investment opportunities, which is code for the previous owner hasn't done any upkeep since 1962. And we can't figure out where that smell is coming from. Musical instruments, because if you sort low to high, you have to get through pages of accessories and cases and stuff before you find the actual instrument. Also, the cheapest version of most instruments is not worth getting. Pretty much anything when I look on eBay. If you price low to high, there's dozens of pages of stuff that's like $1. If you sort high to low, it doesn't take long to sort through the really expensive stuff, and then you get to the stuff you want quicker. Houses. Just to see what I can't afford. 3D printers. It's easier to skip 2 pages of 10,000 printers than to skip 60+ pages of $2 printer nozzles. Recorders on Amazon. The top result had a 1-star review saying, "It sounds like fart on this freaking 1000 wood recorder." I was looking for a new blender and saw one for $500. I was convinced they couldn't get more expensive than that and wanted to check. Yeah, who the hell is willing to spend over $2,000 on a freaking blender? Tools. I don't always buy the most expensive. But I am so done buying the cheapest. I'm young enough that I plan to get a lot of use out of anything. So I want it to last, or at least work very well. This table saw is $300. It's garbage and the table isn't even flat. The measurements aren't accurate and the fence isn't square to the blade. Or this table saw is $2,000 and you'll have it for the next 40 years. It's solid and works beautifully. If I'm buying tech stuff, e.g. most recently a wireless keyboard, I'll sort price high to low because I'd rather pay a little bit more for a brand I know, trust, can read reviews of, than a cheaper mode. Didn't always do it that way, but it seems to work out as more economical because they last longer. Used cars. Top of the range versions of cars are very rare where I'm from. So it makes it easier to find the higher trim levels. Sports models when looking for a specific make and model. And I'm talking about sub 10K cars here. Not supercars. I almost always do. I want to see the overpriced items and compare them to the mid and low priced ones. I almost always find something similar for half the price of the most expensive version. Camera lenses. If you haven't tried, you will be surprised. Used to do it on Abe Books. Looking for crazy rare first editions, signed copies and stuff. Could never afford any of that shit. But it was always tantalizing to look. Watches. To see what I'm never going to buy. Butter. Laundry detergent. I live the high life. Wanted a decent high-end graphic card. So sorted high to low. The most expensive one ended up being nearly $10,000 USD. Which was quite a shock. Scotch. My sweet spot is around $150 CAD, but it's fun to check out the $75 CAD bottles. Restaurants, so I can see what's on the fancy menus. I do this whenever I'm looking for quality in something rather than affordability. It's not too different from sorting by low to high, since I usually end up buying from somewhere in the middle because the highest priced items are usually rips-offs. I have done it on Amazon just for fun. Behold, $700 salt and pepper shakers. And $12 shower curtains. Completely unremarkable ones. I often do that on real estate sites just to daydream. TBH, most of the super expensive stuff looks so gaudy and lame that I'd almost be embarrassed to live there. The only thing I've ever done this with was a pillow. Last year, my old man, who's bedridden, was complaining about his head and neck overheating. So I went out to find a solution. The most expensive pillow had this special memory foam and built-in gel padding. It was $200. The cheapest was about $10. Negligible because it didn't do what we needed, which was keep his skin cool. I still can't believe I spent that much on a pillow. But it was for someone I love. The crazy thing is, everything I buy for myself, except underwear, I buy second-hand. I prefer to recycle clothing rather than waste resources creating more, and I try never to buy clothing with microfiber either. It's kinder on the earth. Edit. Typo. May sound privileged, but usually everything, especially clothing sites, there are usually really good deals in the middle. And it's easier to scroll through the most expensive because the items are larger. Low-high, you may be scrolling through pages of earrings. High-low, you've got pages full of jackets, shirts, pants, and it's usually straight to the point. Now I don't know about you guys, but I really hate scrolling through pages of earrings or socks and underwear. I just want to see the good shit. Tools. I have a hoe that cost $49. There's a hammer I need that is $4,000. Granted, it swings itself with 250 tons of force and it's a cheap one for what it is. The reason for buying expensive tools is that they are actually cheaper than cheap tools. A very cheap tool might not even do the job. A kind of cheap tool isn't going to last long. An expensive tool is more likely to be heirloom quality if you take care of it. Cat food. Yes, during Steam sales there are often hundreds of games that are originally $1. 5 that is discounted to $0, 5 or something, and most of them are not really worth playing. So I sort from highest price to find large games that are good and get the most out of the sale. Like Divinity Original Sin, as an example. Snakes. I was just curious what the expensive morphs look like. No way I can afford them. On AliExpress when I'm looking for a deal on a larger quantity of something. When I was frequently playing with new MTG cards, I'd usually look up prices before going to a limited event, so I'd know what could be traded and what was dross. The easiest way was to simply sort it high to low and scroll down until I reached the non-tradable cards. Gucci. But I can't even afford the low-priced stuff. PlayStations. Low to high gives you nothing but accessories and scams. Phones, so I could look at what I can never afford. Some clothing websites don't categorize their sale section, so if I don't want to scroll through all the pages of cheap accessories and socks. Sorting high to low will show me the actual clothing. But usually I do scroll through all the pages because I online shop when I'm procrastinating. So more pages means I don't have to get back to doing work. Lego. Always. Pets. When shopping for amphibians, reptiles, or flower species you can look at all the expensive, colorful, rare breeds. Almost everything. It's easier to scroll through a handful of expensive items than pages of cheap irrelevant ones. I do it on Zillow all the time. I want to know what the most expensive houses look like pretty much everywhere I go. You'll find $15 million mansions in small West Virginia towns and such. It's interesting to me. Sometimes as do this when the site also shows you the accessories of a product. But I need the whole product, which I oftentimes on the last few pages, because they are more expensive. The Steam community market to find what stupid amounts of money people are willing to spend for virtual knives. I do it for fun on Trulia when I'm bored. Browsing $60 mil houses while I eat fried chicken is the way to go. Escorts. Cars in GTA when I wanted to flex on my friends lol. With clothing. Once I've passed the point in low to high that I can no longer afford, I go to high to low. Once for to dream am I rings? Speakers to view the best. I buy weed online. Only the best. This is a good question. Walmart greater than electric motor greater than high to low. https www.walmart.com IP 300 HP 1785 RPM 449 T frame 460 VTEFC lease an electric motor minus 171,529 100,322,226. Because bored. Lol. Escorts. Computer stuff. If you sort low to high you get hard drive cables instead of the hard drive. For example, the Spend Bill Gates Money website. I'm an eBay seller. I research high and low prices in order to gauge my item's value. Honestly, I never actually look that way, but I find it fun when I'm buying really random mundane objects sometimes. Just to see what is the most expensive Tupperware on Amazon? I'll probably just buy some skull candies, but how much are people willing to pay for a pair of earbuds? Lego sets. I just wanted to find the most expensive thing I could waste my money on. Yeah. Quite often. I may enter a price range first. Buy cheap, buy twice, buy the best and you only cry once. Most stuff? I don't usually go for the priciest stuff, but I never buy cheap if I can find quality. Electronics. Sorting by low to high gives you all the optional attachments, accessories that are sold separately, not the actual product which usually costs much more. For example, printers and their ink cartridges. It's sometimes useful with electronics, if you set an upper limit, to filter out the junk that tends to be miscategorized and sold at cheap prices, since there's less to go through at the pricier end. Set a max price and sort high to low. When I search for sneakers. Because if I set it low to high, first there are tons on socks and kids' shoes and other stuff, even though I definitely don't buy the more expensive sneakers. It's faster to browse them from the higher end. Things that have accessories, or consumable parts. Some sites don't have great filtering mechanisms. So if looking for an espresso machine or something, sorting high to low gets rid of the accessories that go with it. I do this a lot with groceries. There may only be an option to sort by total price for the item, not price per unit volume or weight. So if I'm looking for the best bulk buy, I'm typically looking for the most expensive, i.e., largest, version of a given product. Only to compare reviews or quality. It's sometimes good to see the high-end items in order to find a good medium. Of course, not all products need that kind of comparison. A lot of clothes or shoes are high-priced just because of a label and I don't have time to look at the quality value of a $500 hoodie. Every time I look through sold items on eBay when I'm trying to see if my useless stuff is worth anything,